Have you ever wondered what one act of kindness is truly worth? Imagine struggling to breathe, knowing the oxygen tank beside you is the only thing keeping you alive, and then giving it away to a complete stranger. Most people would call it impossible. But one father made that choice without asking for anything in return. What happened just 3 days later shocked an entire medical company and touched millions of hearts. Stay with this story until the very end, because it proves that kindness never disappears. Sometimes it comes back in ways no one could ever imagine. And the ending may just change the way you look at helping others forever. Before we begin, if stories like this warm your heart, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Daniel Harper was 38 years old and raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. His wife had passed away 5 years earlier after a long illness, leaving Daniel to be both mother and father. Life had never been easy, but he always smiled for Lily. Daniel worked as a night security guard. The pay barely covered rent, food, and medicine. A serious lung disease had slowly damaged his breathing, and every day he depended on a portable oxygen tank. Without it, even walking across the room became painful. Still, Daniel never complained. Every morning he made Lily breakfast, braided her hair the best he could, packed her school lunch, and walked her to the bus stop with his oxygen tank rolling quietly beside him. "Dad," Lily often said, "when I grow up, I'm going to take care of you." Daniel always smiled. "You already do, sweetheart." One rainy afternoon, Daniel was returning home after buying medicine. His oxygen tank was only half full. He needed it to make it through the evening before his replacement tank arrived the next morning. As he walked past the city hospital, people suddenly gathered near the entrance. A young woman had collapsed on the sidewalk. Paramedics rushed over, but there was a problem. An accident nearby had overwhelmed emergency crews. Their portable oxygen supplies had been delayed. The woman struggled desperately to breathe. Her frightened little boy, no older than 6, held her hand and cried, "Please, somebody help my mom." The crowd watched helplessly. Daniel looked at his own oxygen tank. He looked at Lily, standing beside him. Then he looked back at the little boy. Without saying a word, Daniel removed his own breathing tube. The world around him immediately became heavier. He pushed his oxygen tank toward the paramedics. "Use mine," he whispered. The nurse stared at him. "Sir, you need this yourself." Daniel nodded slowly. "She needs it more." The oxygen was connected to the young woman. Within moments, her breathing became steadier. The little boy burst into tears and hugged Daniel tightly. "Thank you, mister." Daniel smiled weakly. "It's okay." But after only a few steps, Daniel collapsed onto the wet pavement. Doctors rushed him inside the hospital. His oxygen levels had dropped dangerously low. When Lily reached his bedside, tears filled her eyes. "You always tell me heroes are in movies," she whispered. Daniel gently squeezed her hand. "No, sweetheart. They're just ordinary people who choose kindness." The young woman survived. Her name was Emily Carter. She wanted to thank the stranger who had saved her life, but hospital staff knew very little about him. Only that he was a single father who had given away the oxygen keeping himself alive. News of the incredible act spread quietly among nurses and doctors. One physician shared the story online. Within hours, thousands of people were reading it. No one expected who would see it next. Across the country, Michael Carter, founder of one of the largest medical equipment companies in America, opened his phone before an important meeting. His heart stopped. The woman in the story was his daughter, Emily. He immediately canceled every appointment. 3 days later, black cars quietly arrived outside Daniel's small apartment building. Neighbors watched in surprise. Daniel opened the door, still recovering and connected to a borrowed oxygen machine. Standing outside was Michael Carter. The elderly businessman stepped forward. Then, to everyone's surprise, he hugged Daniel. You saved my daughter. Daniel looked embarrassed. I just did what anyone should do. Michael smiled sadly. No. Most people wish someone else would help. You actually did. Lily peeked from behind her father. Michael knelt beside her. You must be Lily. She nodded shyly. Your dad is the bravest man I've ever met. The little girl smiled proudly. Inside the apartment, Michael noticed worn furniture, unpaid bills, and medicine bottles covering the kitchen table. He quietly understood the sacrifices Daniel had been making every single day. Before leaving, Michael handed Daniel an envelope. Daniel tried to refuse it. I didn't help your daughter for money. Michael shook his head. This isn't payment. It's gratitude. Inside was a letter offering Daniel lifetime medical care, free oxygen equipment, and a scholarship that would fully cover Lily's education through college. Daniel couldn't speak. Tears rolled down his face. I've never had anyone help me like this. Michael smiled. You already earned it. The biggest surprise came later that afternoon. Reporters gathered outside the headquarters of Carter Medical Systems. Employees expected a new product announcement. Instead, Michael stepped onto the stage holding a photograph of Daniel and Lily. He spoke quietly. My company has always been built on technology. But today I realized something. The greatest medicine in the world isn't found in a machine. It's found inside a compassionate heart. He paused. Beginning today, Carter Medical Systems will proudly become Harper KindCare. The audience fell completely silent. Michael continued. We are changing our name to honor the man who reminded us why healthcare exists in the first place. Around the world, people watched the announcement. Employees stood and applauded. Doctors wiped away tears. Patients smiled. Daniel had never wanted fame. He had only wanted someone to live. The new company launched a program that donated oxygen equipment to struggling families across the country. Every oxygen machine carried one simple message. Kindness gives life. Thousands of families received help because of one father's selfless choice. Months later, Daniel's health slowly improved thanks to better treatment. Lily continued doing well in school. One evening they walked through the neighborhood together. A little boy recognized Daniel. You're the man who shared your oxygen. Daniel smiled. I just shared what I had. The boy thought for a moment. My teacher says kindness spreads. Daniel nodded. She's right. It always does. As the sun set, Lily slipped her hand into her father's. Dad? Yes? I'm glad you helped that lady. So am I. Even though it was scary? Daniel looked at the golden sky. The right thing is sometimes scary. But it's always worth it. Years later, people would remember the company that changed its name. They would remember the scholarships and the medical donations. But most of all, they would remember one ordinary father who proved that kindness is not measured by how much we have. It is measured by what we are willing to share, even when life is difficult. If this story touched your heart, remember that you don't need to own a fortune to change someone's life. A kind word, a helping hand, or a simple act of compassion can become the beginning of someone else's miracle. And just like Daniel discovered, kindness has a remarkable way of finding its way back when you least expect it. So wherever you are today, choose kindness. Someone's future may be waiting for the decision you make today.